Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today to this session called Make Your Data Work For You with Shelter Pet Data Alliance. I am thrilled to be here with you all today. This is my very first Best Friends Conference. And so if any of you all are newbies like me, please give me a little extra love today for this being my first one. I am so excited to have this esteemed panel with you all today, but I want to do a couple little ground rules. We're going to do questions at the end. So if you think of questions, just throw a note in your phone or write it down so that you don't forget, and then we're going to save some time at the end to do questions. Before we go any further, I want to make sure to introduce our esteemed panel. We've got some really cool people here with you today. Misty Valenta is the Director of Animal Services at Williamson County Regional Animal Services. Make sure I go to the next slide. So, and then we have Thera Marine, who is the Data Visualization Specialist for Best Friends Animal Society. And then we have Alexis Pugh, who is the Director of Lifesaving Centers for Best Friends now. Alexis did come from Memphis Animal Services just 2 months ago. So we're really excited to have her perspective in this session. So we all know that you all came to this panel because you got into animal welfare for data. Yes? You love data, and that is why you are here. Now, I know that is not the case for Rory. Rory did get into animal welfare for data, but he's a unique one. So with that, I want to pose you all with a question before I introduce myself. I want you all to think about, if you were in the opening session, it was really powerful. Julie had a lot of incredible things to say. And I think that one of the things that made her session so powerful was the data numbers that she used. When she told those stories, when she told the story of the director who went from 9% live outcome rate to 95%, everyone was in shock and awe, right? You gave that moment gave shock and awe to the story and the work that he had done. And when we're thinking about this data as being such a huge part of what we all do now, it didn't used to be, right? But now we're in this moment that we need to be able to use this data, but not just have it for ourselves, not just have it for our staff, though that's really important. What we want is you to be able to tell your story with data and tell your story to your community so you can give that same shock and awe to your community members, and that they will want to support you. So as we move throughout this conference, through this session, I want you to think about, what story do you want to tell? What story do you want to tell your community? And I'll introduce myself quickly. I am Kasey Spain. I am the Product Growth Manager for Shelter Pet Data Alliance, our new data analytics tool with Best Friends. Before that, I was with American Pets Alive and Austin Pets Alive, and I worked on their team to help with education and outreach, and it was a great role. I loved being there. And then before that, I was at Austin Animal Center, and I was the first marketing communications manager that ever worked at Austin Animal Center, and we were at, I think we hit 90% the first month that I was there, which was really exciting. And then we grew from there, reduced intake. It was really I loved working in shelters, and I didn't love working in shelters because I loved animals, though I do. I love the people. I think that you all are some of the hardest working people in the country, in any industry. I am in awe every day. I am more empowered by the group of people that are here. I feel no nerves when I'm on this stage with you all, because I know that you are all working together to try and save lives. We're all working together. I'm up here talking to you, trying to get you to care about something that you may not know much about, that I don't know much about. Honestly, I wasn't a data person, but I'm up here talking to you about this today because it's so important, and I want you to be able to tell your stories to your community. Okay, so that's a little bit about me, and I want our panelists to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit more about themselves, because they have some really incredible stories and really incredible things that they do. So why don't you start? Go ahead.
Sure. My name is Misty Valenta, and I'm the director of the Williamson County Regional Animal Shelter in Georgetown, Texas, north of Austin. And I've been sheltering for about 13 years now in various roles. starting from volunteer to adoption counselor and way up from there.
And Thera?
And hi, I'm Thera Marine. I'm the data visualization specialist with Best Friends, helping with the Shelter Pet Data Alliance project. My home base is Phoenix, Arizona. I've been with Best Friends for about 1 year. Before that, I actually worked in the juvenile court helping children get adopted. And when I'm not behind my computer screen, you can find me exploring national parks and doing anything outdoors.
And Alexis?
Yeah, hi, I'm Alexis Pugh. As Kasey said, I am newly the Director of Lifesaving Centers for Best Friends Animal Society, which I'll talk a little bit more about later on in this presentation. But I came from Memphis Animal Services in Memphis, Tennessee, where I was the director. Prior to that, I ran a nonprofit humane society, a nonprofit spay neuter clinic. I sit on the board for the National Animal Care and Control Association. And so I can tell you in every single facet of everything I've ever done in animal welfare, data's at the top of the list. And in fact, my mayor in Memphis had a data-driven government. It was his priority. So I feel really comfortable supporting the notion that we all need to prioritize data in our organizations every day.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. So we all know that data has increased its importance in what we're doing. We all have reports that we do. You have all this pressure on you to know your data. I'm sure that many of you have gone to board meetings and have monthly reports that you have to do where you are trying to figure out what your numbers are. You're trying to figure out data. And so, Misty, I want to ask you, what data has had the biggest impact on your community?
We are a humble shelter. We serve about 7,000 animals with a staff of 40. So data is one of my job descriptions. And because of the staffing that we have, community is a big part of what we do. And so not only do I need to give data to government officials and board members, I need to inspire the community to be a part of the solution. And that's where we started really digging into data as everyone else was starting to fill back up after the pandemic. And we started to use the meter that I think many of us started using, of like our capacity meter, of how full we are, and pushing that out to the community so that they could help understand the crisis that we were in and that we needed help. As we were using that and trying to tell our story, I was realizing that the public couldn't really get a good story from just that meter. It really wasn't explaining what was happening on a day-to-day basis or even a week-to-week basis. So we kind of like overshot, and we started sharing our numbers, our weekly numbers, and that's the second image that you see under the meter. And that was a little better. People could see week to week the impact that intakes or outcomes were having on the shelter. They could track that, and that was better, but if you weren't looking for that social media post every Friday, you weren't really keeping up with how things were shifting. So it was kind of an overcorrection. We were one of the first shelters to sign up for Shelter Pet Data Alliance. And one of the first things that I noticed were the graphics on there and how the graphics were telling a story without even me having to say anything. You could just see it and understand. And like I said, the community is so important to us, and we were looking for a post to inspire them to come and help. And we grabbed a screenshot from Shelter Pet Data Alliance and really focused on their impact to our shelter. If they didn't come and adopt, what would happen to all of those animals? They were our lifesavers. And so we celebrated them in this graphical form of how impactful they are to us, and that is why we really need them and need them to continue coming to us to save the animals in our care. yeah, that was, no graphic design needed. You just needed to know how to do a screenshot. It was awesome.
So what happened when you made this shift to making more data-driven decisions in your organization? You showed a really great example of what it looks like to tell that story, but you had to make years past and current, constant decision-making about what you're doing with programmatic changes and things. How did you shift to knowing that you had to make that in a data-driven way?
Well, animal sheltering, we are problem solvers, right? We see a problem, we fix it. But my question was, are we fixing the right problem? Like, what is the problem that we're facing? And one of the major things that we saw was our intake was from lost animals. There was a story going around saying that everyone was full because of all of these owner surrenders, all these pandemic puppies, right? And maybe that was true in some pockets. That was not true for us at all. And like the other slide showed, it was our adopters who were saving lives. So we were vilifying the ones who were showing up and saving these animals. And by proving that it wasn't them, it was these lost animals that need our help, we started shifting our programming to focus on how do we help these lost animals get back home faster.
So everyone always hears, why is your shelter so full? Why are we so full? And you frequently hear shelter folks say, we're just so full. But how did you use that? How did you use that with the data to really show what that idea of full was?
Yeah, because we're all full and we're all full all of the time. But if that's the only story we're telling, that's gonna fade into the background. We have to continuously tell the story in a different way. And data is a really good way of showing that. Okay, so we showed where our intakes are coming from and how many. Well, now let's show why we continue to be full month after month, or do we? And there's another, again, this is a screenshot from Shelter Pet Data Alliance. I didn't have to make this at all. And I just had to explain what this meant. The line across was even, and then we had our intakes and outcomes. And that was yet another way to tell the same story. And if we keep altering that story, we will hit every single person. There's going to be a story that hits that person that doesn't hit that person. So we have to keep changing it so we find everyone to come in and help.
So I know your shelter base is just north of Austin. And tell us a little bit about how many animals you have, how many animals you serve, how many staff you have, and whose responsibility is it to analyze the data?
So we serve about 7,000 animals a year, a budget of about 2.5 mil, maybe getting there, and about 40 staff members when we're fully staffed, right? When you're fully staffed. So all of our staff members have multiple job descriptions. There is no one data person. So in one of my brains is data person, when not also cleaning kennels or whatever else that needs to be done, right?
So before SPDA and you didn't have these things, I know that you showed us these graphs. And can you walk us through these very interesting looking graphs? Like, who made these graphs?
That was me learning how to make pie charts in Excel because I was asking the question, what are we good at? Okay, we have very, very limited resources at our shelter, which I'm sure it's totally different for y'all. But we have very limited resources. So what are we good at? And let's get better at that. We already have the resources going there. Let's just get better at it. And so I figured out some data and had to work on it. I first had to Google, how do you make a pie chart? I'm not going to lie. Because I don't know. And we're animal welfare. We figure it out, right? So yeah, so I came up with this, which is, it's fine. It got the numbers up there.
You know what, Misty? I love this example, and I love this story. And do you mind if I talk a little
No,
bit
please, go ahead.
about why I love this story? This story about the director of your organization having to spend hours learning Excel, learning how to do a pie chart, Googling it. You know what? That is unfortunate because it takes away from life-saving. And so we at Best Friends, we recognize that. And we said, you know what? With the resource crunch that organizations are facing today, we know one of the first things that get cut is resources for data analytics. And so we have a team around us at Best Friends. We have a team who specialize in data analytics. We have a data scientist who knows the best methodologies to use when pulling data. We have a team of people, employees who work and provide support with organizations. They know what questions organizations are asking. We have a graphic design team who knows how to tell the story in the best compelling way. We have a quality assurance team that works with technical difficulties. We have a data visualization specialist who knows and more advanced data analytical tools beyond Excel. So why don't we pull together all of these resources to help organizations that don't have these resources be able to have data at their disposal? And so that's what we did. And we said, knowing that we work with shelters, we said, what kind of questions are shelters asking? And I hope that everybody here at the end of this presentation leaves with a question that they want to answer with data. And if we're not showing that on Shelter Pet Data Alliance, I hope you let us know so that we can answer that question for you.
We actually do have several of the Shelter Pet Data Alliance team members here in the group today. So and so we'll be able to talk to you later about that.
Yes, all around the room. And at our booth, by the way, we're going to be at the hub as well, so you can visit us there.
I'm jumping to this slide, Thera. I want you to show them
Okay,
back to this question that we
So
had.
this is the question that we asked. It's the same exact question that Misty's team was asking. What are we good at? And this visual is up on Shelter Pet Data Alliance. What you can see here is you can see Misty's organization. It's the black dot, and it's being compared to a blue dot and a green dot. The blue dot represents the state of Texas, where Misty's organization is, and the green dot is all U.S. shelters in the nation. So here you can easily see that Misty's organization is outperforming the state and the nation in terms of adoption rate. And that translates into life savings. You can see that here at the save rate on the bottom. Misty's organization is outperforming the state and the nation in terms of save rate and life savings. So we're answering that same exact question that Misty portrayed in her pie charts, and this is on Shelter Pet Data Alliance. So all you have to do is take a screenshot, you can put it on social media, you can give it to your board, put it in presentations, and there's an embed code as well to put on your website. So now you don't have to spend hours Googling and learning Excel. We're here for you.
And how much more powerful that grouping of data is than what I created. Let the experts do it, right?
But you did great.
Thank you.
You still did great. And you're doing great by making great data-driven decisions every day. So don't give yourself a hard time about that. But I want to talk a little bit about why Best Friends did this. I know that there's probably is kind of an elephant in the room of why would we go down the path of making a data analytics platform? What good does that do? Why did we do that? And so Thera, tell us a little bit about why Best Friends created this platform.
We know that when we're using data to inform decisions, we're going to save more lives or have the potential to save more lives. So we at Best Friends, and the purpose of this panel is to encourage everyone in the room and all organizations to use data to make decisions. And so now you have the resources to be able to do that. But what can you do with your data? Well, a couple things. You can look at previous trends to be able to predict how to handle future situations. So this happened last year, it happened the year before, we're going to be prepared this year. Sometimes organizations have hesitations about showing their data because they might have areas of gaps or poorer performance. But I tell you what, there is an audience that wants to see that. And it's the audience that is going to help you improve. It's your funders, it's your donors, it's your volunteers. If you say, hey, we need assistance in this area, this is what the data is showing, it's a powerful tool to help you get those resources. And then once you get those resources, like Misty was saying, showing the community, being accountable to them with data. Here is your before and your after picture. This is the improvement we had thanks to this policy, thanks to this intervention and this program. So that now is at your disposal. All you have to do is go into Shelter Pet Data Alliance and take a screenshot, and then you have that resource available. And the best thing is, for those of you who have a shelter management software system, we're now connecting your shelter software system with our system, so you can do a live feed. So now all your staff have to do is, if you're in a selective shelter management software system that we connect with, we automatically get your data, and then we can visualize it for you. And eventually that's going to become real-time data.
Cool. And so we have a new feature with Shelter Pet Data Alliance that we're rolling out at this conference. I'm 95% sure it's live. I haven't seen it yet because I saw it in the testing, but I did not see it live on the website yet. But we have a brand new feature called One Alliance. It's one big reason why I wanted Thera on this panel is because she designed this. The idea came from one of our incredible staff members, Sally, who's in the back of the room here. This is really her baby and her brainchild, but this tool is really, really cool, and it's going to do some things that you won't be able to find anywhere else. And so can you talk a little bit about how organizations can use One Alliance?
Yeah, and thanks for mentioning Sally, because Sally reminds me every day that who is the One Alliance? It's all of us. It's all of our organizations working together. And so this is the premise of One Alliance. It's to find organizations that are like us, who are performing well in areas that we might not be performing well with, so that we can support each other. So we can reach out to those higher performing organizations and we can say, what are you doing well? You are in a very similar situation as we are, and we want to network. We want to know your secrets. So that's what One Alliance allows you to do. It allows you to find similar organizations. There's been organizations that come to me as a data analyst and they say, you know what? It's not fair that you're comparing me to this organization, because that organization is in a huge city and we're a rural community. We have so many fewer animals and staff. It's just not fair. Well, you know what? Now you can compare yourself to similar organizations, and you can find those organizations that are similar to you. When you go into the Shelter Pet Data Alliance One Alliance tab, you see this filter panel. And in the filter panel, you can find organizations that are like you based on state and region, based on organization type, intake size. You can look at their save rate. You can look at their urban and rural status, or even their social vulnerability, which social vulnerability is a fancy word for how many resources do you have to be prepared and recover for a natural disaster. So you can filter in, find organizations that are like you. And then when you enter this screen, this is what you'll see. And we've already talked about the left-hand side, so I want to talk about the right-hand side of the platform. And sorry for putting my hand in your face.
It's fine.
Okay, so that right side, what that is a listing of organizations that you filtered for, from top to bottom in terms of their performance. So here you can filter on different metrics, and in this example, we're looking at return to owner. And so I'm able to see the highest performing return to owners. And that way, I'm able to reach out to those organizations and say, hey, what are you doing really well to do that return to owner? Can you help me? What could we be doing to have the same kind of success that you are.
And so this is what's out right now, and we see this as a moment in time, right? And so if shelters and rescues have their data in this software, they'll be able to see this if they have annual data in there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so what else is coming with SPDA?
So what you're looking at right now is a snapshot based on 1 year of data. And we know that maybe you had an abnormal year. Maybe it was a COVID year. So what we're going to incorporate in later this month is when you click on the historical trends, it's going to take you to another screen, a screen that looks like that. And you're going to be able to see your historical trends in different areas of performance. So that is to come.
Cool. That's great.
A little sneak peek.
Awesome. Alexis, you've been quiet, which is unique for you.
It certainly is.
If anyone knows Alexis. Alexis, like I said, has come from Memphis Animal Services. She's only been with Best Friends for 2 months, but we snagged her up as quick as we could because she's brilliant. She did used to work in as a news anchor as well, and so she's a real catch for us. So, and personally, I just think she's great. I think she's so awesome.
Fine,
so,
keep going, Kasey.
Okay, I will. So I want you to tell us a little bit about how Best Friends uses this data, why we want the data, because we do. We want the data. We're not going to be shy about saying, give us your data. But there's reasons for that. And yes, some of it may seem self-serving, but it's not. And I want Alexis to talk a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So having come from the sheltering side, I obviously recognize and value the importance of data. But it's so much more important to me now in my current role because every single thing that the team that I manage does is driven 100% by the numbers that are in this database. So what I do as the director of lifesaving centers is I support shelter strategists. So if you guys don't know who your Best Friends strategist is for your area, make sure you meet them at this conference because they want to help you. And what they do is they analyze your data, right? So they're going to look for what are your life-saving gaps? What are those specific granular pieces of data that we can drill into to help you save more lives? So is it neonatal kittens? Is it big dogs? What is your gap, right? So my team then gets deployed. So basically we are the tool in the toolbox that gets used to help you guys make those life-saving changes based on data. So my team runs transports all up and down the East Coast corridor. My team is in Soho, New York, and we're pulling in kittens from all over to help get them adopted. My team is doing trainings in shelters across the eastern part of the country. We're running what's called a satellite foster program, where let's say you have a gap of neonates, but you haven't been able to get a foster program off the ground. We will literally come in, recruit, and build your foster program from the ground up, and then train you how to take that foster program back over at the end of a 6-month period. So it's kind of that teach a man to fish concept, right? So we only have so many people to do this work, right? I mean, I'm sure every single person in this room would be like, I will take everything you just said on the menu. I'll take all your transports, I'll take your foster, I'll take it all, right? But how do we decide where we're going to deploy those limited resources? Well, the answer is data, 100%. And so Best Friends is going to take everything you allow us to have in this platform. You're getting your own internal benefit, like we've talked about with your data visualizations, your connection to other orgs, but you're also going to enable us to determine basically how we can help you. Help us help you by giving us the data to know how you need that help. So what I'd love to do, if I could, Kasey, just bounce through a couple of examples.
Alexis really doesn't need me. Just go ahead, Alexis. You got this.
Throw it down. So I'm just going to bounce through a couple examples, right? And these are both, the two organizations I'm going to talk about are both Pennsylvania organizations, but both happen to be here at the conference. And one of them that I'm going to talk about was celebrated on the main stage today. But let's talk about Antietam Humane Society. So they're in Waynesboro, PA. And what we saw looking at their data is they were doing great with dogs, right? Look at that, great with dogs, but they were really struggling with cats. I mean, in 2020, they were below a 50% save rate for cats. So having the granular level data, being able to dig in and see what the challenge was rather than us just throwing general resources at them, they didn't need us to spend time, energy, or money on dogs. They figured it out. Why are we going to waste those precious resources on an organization that is solved for that? What they needed from us was a way to address the cat intake and the cat life-saving. So we deployed our satellite foster program. So we had experts go in, conduct training. We built a foster database. We got cats placed through that. And you can see, not only did they achieve that great life-saving, but because we taught the man to fish, which is a bad example here, right? We're not fishing at Best Friends. I apologize. Can I say something? I taught you how to plant a plant. Is that a better
That's
word?
great, yeah.
Sorry.
Plant a tree.
Woo! New here, folks. But you can see that they've been able to maintain that, right? They have maintained that status. And it's because we were targeted in our intervention strategy and we addressed the gap that they had, and we only knew what that gap was because the data told us it was there.
Awesome. And so show us the one from Lehigh. Lehigh was on the stage today.
Yes,
And they have
Lehigh.
a really cool story, too.
Yeah, Lehigh Valley, also in Pennsylvania, Allentown area. So when you're looking at this slide, the blue represents dogs, the dark gray represents cats, and then the light gray represents non-live outcomes. So I just want to kind of draw your attention specifically to the columns that are two shades of gray, your light gray and your dark gray, right? Well, can everybody see through this very clear data visualization where our intervention strategy happened? Can you guess when we went in based on that to help with cats, right? So you can see right where we went in 2022, we came in with transport, we came in with satellite foster, we came in with shelter operational trainings, we did some legislative advocacy, and so we were able to see that dramatic change there in cat life-saving. And so not only did it show us where they needed intervention strategies, but also the impact of those intervention strategies, which guess what? Helps make Sarah Goldberg, who works in fundraising, her job and donor development, doesn't that make her job easier to get more money into the organization so we can continue providing more support and resources, right? It's this full circle concept of how we show what needs help and then the impact of the help so that we can keep that cycle alive. And so if we can go to the next one, Kasey.
I feel like I need to be like, can I get an amen? Like, does anybody feel like that when she talks? And yeah. I mean, feel free to. Okay. All right.
It's fine.
My mother
It's
would
fine.
be so proud. Keep going.
But yeah, so I mean, just look at that big picture, right? We went from, 66% to 85% for cats. And because we relieved some of that capacity burden that the organization had from that, we have too many cats, they were able to put more strategy and emphasis on their dog efforts too, which also resulted in that significant increase. And that's why Lehigh Valley was on the main stage today, right? Because look at that life-saving transition. So I just want to kind of close this out, this concept of what Best Friends is looking at is we want to help you the way you need the help the most. We don't want to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. We want to be targeted. We want to be strategic. If you guys have ever heard of Peter Drucker, he's like an organizational guy, and he's always got like quotes on the sides of like walls in offices and stuff, right? He says something, what gets measured gets managed. We are measuring so we can help you manage your life-saving. And the last thing I'll say before we go to questions or close it out, Kasey, because I know we're running short on time, is just think of this analogy, right? If you were training for a marathon, has anyone in here ever tried to like train to run something, right? How successful would your training have been, sir, if you had said, I don't need to know how far I ran today. I'm sure I'll be able to get to 26.2 miles on race day. It'll be fine. Why even put on a pedometer? Absolutely not. The only way you achieved that lofty goal was by measuring your progress at every single step along the way. Incremental success, growth, and also it helps you with the morale too. One of the things Misty said was to be able to show some of those statistics to her team when they're having hard days and say, guys, we're doing a great job. That is something I think that we all need to think about. So I encourage you, be a part of it if you want the help from Best Friends, but be a part of it so you can get the help from your community and show your teams how great you are as organizational leaders. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you all. So we come back to that question, right? What stories do you want to tell? You're thinking about this. while you're doing, what areas were you wanting to improve? What areas would you like to be able to compare and see what somebody else maybe across the country is doing? And you could call them up and say, what are you doing to do that? You have the same demographics as me. Your community looks the same. You have the same budget, but you're saving 20% more dogs. How are you doing that? You know, there's all kinds of things that we can do with this. And so I want to open it up to questions because I know that you all have questions, but I also want to get you excited and us to be talking and thinking about this because, you know, the other big reason that we've done One Alliance is because it's, you know, comparison is not to make each other feel bad. It's not to make each other feel like you are not doing well. It's to give you tools to raise you up. It's to show us who needs help so that we can help each other. That's the reason for this. So I'll close it there and let you all ask some questions. We'll go from there. Yes, go ahead. Oh, she's coming with a microphone. We want to have everybody on mic so that we can pick it up for ADA.
I love speaking on microphone. Just a logistical question. What's your website? Where does one find this data?
Yeah, so it's Shelter Pet Data Alliance is the name of the platform, and it's shelterpetdata.org. Yeah, and we're going to have ways to sign up at the booth, and we're also giving away some grant opportunities. We have some grant opportunities that are just for you all who have come to this conference. I don't want to forget my guys that are sitting over here. I'm sorry, I feel like I've been turned away from you. We're doing 5 $10,000 grants. This will make a total of $300,000 that we've given for people who sign up to SPDA. So we're really invested in this. We're really serious about you all being able to use this tool. So you can sign up for that opportunity at the booth. Yes. Oh, we have somebody over here. Sorry, you'll be next. Go ahead.
Yeah, wait your turn. Just kidding. So you guys had mentioned earlier that you were talking about an automatic data pull with various shelter management softwares. Do you have an example of some of the softwares you'll be working with? Some main examples?
Yes. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
No, you can do it.
Okay. So we just a couple of weeks ago were able to roll out PetPoint. So we have automatic data sharing with PetPoint. If you have PetPoint and you are not opted in on the tool and opted in on their tool, you have to tell them it's okay for them to talk to each other. That's the first one. We have the next one that we'll be rolling out is Shelter Buddy, and then right after that, Chameleon, and those should all be done before the end of the year. And we're hoping to get Shelter Love here pretty quick because we know a lot of you are using Shelter Love, us included. So we're working on that one as well. Yeah. I think we had somebody over here too. She's next. This woman right here is next.
Can we just say really quick,
Yes.
I just think it's important that even if you don't have the auto upload feature yet with your platform, the upload structure is super simple. So it's going to pull off of probably an existing report. So don't panic if your software is not on the list yet.
Or if you don't have software. We have a really easy template for you to be able to add your data straight in. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible, though I will say it is a brand new tool. It just launched May 1st. Though we've been working on it for 2 years, it launched May 1st. So it's still got bugs. There's still stuff we're working out, but it's getting better every day. Our team is working really, really hard. We've got some incredible staff. So, okay, go ahead.
We use Animals First, by the way, so if you want to get that one uploaded.
Animals First, good, okay.
Where does this fit in with Shelter Animals Count? Because I fill out my report for that, and then I go to here, and it's the exact same numbers in the exact same order.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering, are we collaborating, or do I need to be using both? How is that working together?
So we are working on the APIs. We're working on the automatic data sharing because we want it to make it easy for you all to just be able to connect it and not think about it, not have to go in and report all the time. Shelter Animals Count is a great platform, and we're trying to work with them every day. And so we actually have some meetings going on here at this conference about it. And so, really the reason that Best Friends did this is because we wanted to be able to collect the data in as fast as time as we possibly could to be able to get the resources to you as quickly as possible. But we also wanted to be able to do some things that Shelter Animals Count just didn't do. And that's okay. You know, everybody has different philosophies. There is a lot of brands out there that do a lot of things. There is only 2 now that do data collection and data analytics, and that's okay. You know, we want you all to be able to use both. You can use both. To be part of, I'll just tell you, to be part of Best Friends Network and report your data, you report it through our platform. That's how it works. And so you are going to be able to get grant reports and things for other brands that you might want to work with. If it's PetSmart Charities or others, you're going to be able to just work, to report to one or the other, and it will still work for that platform.
And also just, wouldn't we add that the level of data visualizations out of SPDA that's a pretty unique feature, right?
Yeah, so
Like,
One
we have
Alliance is
all those
different.
data things you saw, that's a pretty unique feature you're going to get out of this platform to be able to use that for yourself, which is awesome.
Okay, we have a question right here.
How much longer will it be in the beta version?
That's a good question. We want to get, so in my opinion, if I'm in charge, which I'm not, don't think I'm in charge. I am not in charge. But I think once we get many more platforms that are doing the API, that are doing the automatic data ingestion, at that point, and when our visualizations are, we feel like you all are getting what you need, at that point, we'll probably take it off beta. Yes.
Okay, so I have a very unique role compared to everybody else in this room. I'm actually an architect, and I specialize in shelter facilities. So when I look at this data, because I look at this all the time, it's usually when a shelter has reached out to us and they've asked us to come and help them either remodel or add on or what it might be. And this is what I use to end up going to like their jurisdictions and say, this is why we need this amount of money. So I guess my little plug here very selfishly is what I would love to see added is average length of stays.
Oh, yeah.
And the facility size, because that is then what I take to the county commissioner and say, we need this, and this is why, and here's what we're competing against around the world, and here's the outcomes that they can have.
So we had to decide what our most valuable product was. We had to decide what those basics, all the things that we thought you needed right away, we had to decide what that was going to be first. And that's why, another reason why we're still in beta, because we have all of these things that we're wanting to add to get it to where we feel like it needs to be. For us, everything else is extra, And so that's where, yes, we love those ideas. And if you have more ideas, I mean, you are sitting next to the best person who is probably taking notes as we speak, because she's our data scientist. Maureen here is our data scientist, yeah. So you can just lean over to her and tell her what you want. Rory.
First of all, thank you all for all of this information. It's really exciting what y'all are building. I am wondering, because I think one of the main differentiators, if I'm not mistaken, between y'all and Shelter Animals Count is open source and keeping this open source.
Yeah.
So as a funder, will I be able to see all organizations and do the same level of comparison as shelters?
So the way it works right now is that you, okay.
There's a part B.
1 minute left.
Okay.
1 minute. Okay, well, I'll just do the one and I'll answer your other questions later. So the way that it works right now is that when you log in and you have given Best Friends data back to 2016, let's say that you only gave data to Best Friends in 2016 and you didn't give it to us again. If that's the case, data from 2016 will load when you make your account. And when you add more data, it will load just for you. Now, the new feature One Alliance, that's the data comparison feature. We collect data from FOIAs, we collect data from all over the place. If it's public information, we collect that data. That it's not optional for government shelters. That's the way it works, that's the way we do things, that's one unique differentiator of us. And so we are working, so when you look at that platform, you create your account, you will be able to see other shelters' data that is in there, whether they have personally handed it to us or it might have been FOIA'd. That is the way it is. We believe that transparent data should be transparent. And so I'll stand on this stage and tell you that with no problem at all. And so organizations that have accounts will be able to see, if you have your data in there and you have annual data up to 2022, we will be able to, or no, is it? Yeah, 2022, and then eventually it's going to be monthly. So then you're going to start seeing the monthly comparisons from other organizations. So yes, and we have a few different views coming for some of the major funders and major organizations that we're going to be working with on the platform. Not yet, no. Public cannot see it right now. This is just organizations that manage intakes and outcomes and transfer of ownership. So right now, that's where we are. Cool? All right, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for being here.